Welcome to the Seacoast Sports Forum. I'm Sherm Chester, and joining me on my right, the coach Bill Taylor, and to my left, Sam Bruno. And just to give you a little background, the Seacoast Sports Forum was a radio program here in the Exeter area about 10 years ago, and it ran for about 3 years. And because of changes in ownership and philosophies at the radio station, we just kind of put it to sleep, put it to rest for a while. And we got a chance to put it right here on EXTV, and we're proud to bring it back and have some fun with it. It's just the three of us talking sports, very informal. We kick around mostly the local sports, Exeter and the Seacoast area, and then we'll add others like UNH and then the regional sports at times, but mostly we're going to concentrate on this Seacoast area. And a couple of things before we go. We got new technology here. It's a video or visual medium, and we're going to depend on you to help us out. We do need video, and sporting events, if you're at a sporting event with your son or daughter or a team, you got a camera, everybody's got one of these now, take some video and pass it along to us, and we'll give you an address where you could send it. Matter of fact, I'll do it right now. It's the seacoastsportsforum.extv@gmail.com, and we also have a Twitter account, the Seacoast Sports Forum at Twitter. So we'll go into all that later on in the program. But gentlemen, we have a special show. We were busy about a few days ago putting together some interviews at Exeter High School. We'll call this our initial program Champion Show.
Yeah, it certainly was.
Champion Show. So
I think, sure. I think when we did that at the high school a few days ago, so impressed by the coaches. I mean, they just are unbelievable. I mean, the dedication that these men and women put toward the youth at Exeter High School, just so impressive, and just so happy for them that their efforts have paid off in state championships.
I couldn't agree more.
It was a very good year for Exeter Blue Hawk teams. You know, we had a great time this winter season with the basketball team becoming champions, an undefeated season, and then it continued on. So what we're going to do today.
I think we also did it. We did the interviews that you're going to see today in longevity order.
Yeah,
okay?
True.
Okay.
Yeah, true. It's a special Champions edition. We're starting off the program with, I want to call it a tribute to a retiring coach who spent 36 years at Exeter High School and affected a lot of lives with championships, but also as an educator, and that's Jim Tufts. And what we'll do is let's roll that interview now, and then we'll check back with you in a few minutes. What you just saw is a tribute to the gentleman we're going to be interviewing here next on the Seacoast Sports Forum, a man who's dedicated 36 years as an educator at Exeter High School and many, many years as both soccer and hockey coach. Jim Tufts, welcome to the Sports Forum.
Thanks, I'm honored to be here. It's a great group.
That is a nice tribute to you, that bench that both the soccer and hockey boosters dedicated to you.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It was a wonderful surprise, and it means a lot to me. And one of the things that was really fun about it is the family that worked on it. Brett Elmore worked on it. He played baseball for me. His brother Todd was a soccer captain, and his sons played for me for the last 2 years. So it truly was a multi-generational thing. So it means a lot.
And something that'll be here forever.
I hope so.
Yeah. Well, let's and I got Sam Bruno to your left and the coach Bill Taylor to my right, and we'll just throw some questions at you about your career and times here at Exeter High School. In all fairness, we're taping this on it is the final day of students at Exeter High School for this season or for this year, so academic year. So any melancholy?
No question. As the year's gone on, it's been truly the kids, the parents, the school, the administration, Billy, Mike, have made it a wonderful year. But it has been bittersweet because I recognize I'm really going to miss it. Those last couple of hockey games were hard, and so cleaning out my desk and turning the keys are going to be a hard day for me.
You know what? You'll get used to retirement, but it takes a while. We all three can speak for experience. It takes a while, but you'll find something to do.
My wife keeps saying, "You okay? You okay?" And I keep saying, "I think I am so far." So I'll find some mischief.
Oh, you'll find something to do. Now, over the years, a little background of how it all started here at Exeter High School. We know you actually started at Winnicott High School, or you were a coach at Winnicott High School, I should say, before you became the coach here at Exeter. But you were a graduate of Phillips Exeter, then went from there to
UNH.
UNH,
Yep,
got your
UNH.
teaching degree,
Yep.
and then went on to, actually your first job was in Hampton Falls.
Lincoln Ackerman School, wonderful school. It was fun. I was there first. They added 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Hired a phys ed teacher, health teacher. That first month I was there, I had to hire coaches, order uniforms, make a schedule, hit the ground running, and so it was a wonderful experience. And it was great. First job for me, and I really had to get going. And I enjoyed my 2 years. Frank Harrington in hockey, and Donnie Foote, and working for Bob Dodge, and it was great. It was fun, but it was special to move over and be a Hawk.
Well, you took over for two legends of my time, Peter Clark in hockey, and also Chet Willie in soccer, right?
Yeah, they were the first head coaches when the sports initiated in the late '60s, and they got the program up and running, and I was really excited to take over for those guys, and it's worked out.
And over the years, I mean, and I know it's like, who's your favorite child? Any big memories of both sports that you can think of?
No, and I haven't been able to do that. And the endless question I used to always get was, well, which sport do you like best? And no way. Again, it's you love your children equally, and each of the sports had unique qualities that I really enjoyed. And same with the kids. I could tell you some great stories in the '70s, and Johnny Booth and Artie Mantell and that crew of guys, and same in the '80s and same in the '90s, and
decades of stories.
Oh, I do.
Decades.
I said to Paul DiMarino's been riding the buses with me for the last 3 years, and I said, stop me if I've told you this story already, because I tell too many stories.
Well, you know something though, I'm glad you brought that up. That's one thing I've told kids over the years, because I was in the broadcasting business and still am indirectly, I guess, at times. All those memories, record them.
Oh, they're wonderful.
Write them down,
Yep.
put them on a tape or whatever, video, just to have those memories, because believe me, now the biggest thing is everybody wants to know their ancestry. Well,
Yeah, right.
you're part of people's
Part
ancestry
of
here in Exeter High School.
Institutional history.
Jim, I got a question. When you first started, were you on the soccer field, the small soccer field behind the old junior high school? That was where your first varsity soccer games were?
It was, and I'll tell you a couple quick stories about that. So my first game was against Epping High School on that field. And Artie Como and Ronnie Comtois, who were cousins, both scored a couple goals, and it was awesome. It was off and running. But later that year, that same season, we played a game, and the goalies were Eddie Hersom in one end and Dana Mullen for Winnicott in the other end. And Dana went on and played baseball down in Florida. Great baseball player, left-handed first baseman. And we opened a kickoff, went down to him. He caught the ball and threw it to Eddie. Threw it the length of the field.
Right.
And so we had a conversation about the fact that we needed to get to a bigger field as soon as we could, and we ended up playing on Eustis Field the next year before the SST was built, and then we got bumped to the lower field, and we played a couple of years down on that lower field.
And I don't know if people remember this. I know I do. You and I actually were on the baseball staff together.
Yes, we were with Johnny Walker as the head coach. Yep, it was Bill was the JV coach. I was the freshman coach, and a lot of fun. I had a lot of great kids coming through, and it was a wonderful era of athletics here at Exeter High School, because I was coaching the freshman baseball team, and I'm as a head coach. Billy Ball ended up coaching the freshman basketball team for a while, and he was a head coach. And you had head coaches coaching freshman teams, and so the quality of coaching for the freshman kids was varsity level coaching. So it was a great era.
I think one of the things, Bill Taylor and you and I have been working with high school students for 40 plus years. So we'll say that together. I guess I'd like to know your opinion on the students you coached in the 70s and 80s, 90s, now in the 2000s. Have they changed? Have the student athletes changed in your mind at all?
So, yeah, and I've had that question a lot, and I'm always very careful how I broach my words, because there's some similarities. There's some similarities in kids and what they were doing in their lives and that sort of thing. But there are some differences, and kids back in the day were pretty resilient and fought through things and found solutions. And in this day and age, kids aren't quite as resilient, and kids aren't quite, and I'm doing that with a broad brush, because there are plenty of kids that are resilient, and there are plenty of kids, and I talked a little bit about that at commencement the other night, about learning to fight through struggles, and learning to make teams, and learning to figure out how you have to get to where you want to go. And back in the day, you just kind of sucked it up and went home. And, if you went home and said I didn't make it, mom and dad said, well, what are you going to do about it?
That's right.
And in this day and age, it's a little more instant gratification and a little more, I'll find another team to play on.
I was going to say that. There's a lot of students are playing now soccer and hockey from a very, very young age. By the time they get to the high school, they've maybe been on multiple teams already. So where in the 70s and 80s, they probably weren't there, those options for them.
And if things don't go well and you're not where you want to be on a particular team, you maybe, instead of fighting through it and figuring it out, you find another team.
So the high school coach's challenge is tougher now than it ever has been.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. It is. There's just so many other factors.
Just as an educator, teachers, I think, have a tougher job right now than ever. Dealing with, like you said, with all the distractions that are out there right now for a high school student.
There are so many more avenues to be involved in any activity. You can play any sport year-round.
Right.
The exception might be football. But lacrosse, baseball, soccer, hockey, there are teams going all the time, and you can find them. And so, if it doesn't work out, you might just. And
well, one thing I've noticed, and it's in all sports, and it goes back for years, but now there's more of an emphasis, well, at least from my own personal viewpoint, that parents, when they get a son or daughter into a sport, it's with the sole idea of going for a college scholarship. And it kind of throws me a bit, because like when I do the banquets, I'll tell the kids, hey, enjoy your years here. This is it for a lot of you. I mean, there's a few that'll move on and maybe make it for a year or two, or maybe make it to the pros. Who knows? I just, I try to tell the kids, enjoy it, because this is the prime of your life.
No question. I saw, talk about kids, I saw Sammy Carlisle played soccer for me, and in the early 90s, played basketball, maybe for Gary Tyrone at that point, about 93. And his son's involved in youth hockey here in the area. And we had a great chat one day, and he's playing travel team hockey and this, that, and the other thing. And Sammy said to me, my goal is for my son to be able to play high school sports. And I gave him a hug. It was just, that your goal should be that they have part of their high school experience, that they're able to play a high school sport. And if they are fortunate enough to be able to play in college, that's awesome. But it's a plus, and it's an extension, and they're going to be able to play in the men's league and forever. There are plenty of old guys playing out here on a Sunday morning, still playing baseball, and so high school sports should be the goal.
Question. Do you think that, I've always felt this, that the Exeter athlete in some ways is a throwback to when you were playing high school sports, when I was playing, Sam, Sherm. We played, when one sport ended, you got ready for the next. And when that sport ended, you got ready for the next. and you just went from sport to sport, and now you see so many, and this kind of ties in with what you asked, Sam, so many people specializing in one sport, and I'm not so sure that's a great idea.
So if you go back to paper just today, Brian O'Reilly, they won the lacrosse Division I lacrosse title. And in yesterday's Manchester Union, his emphasis was his Pinkerton lacrosse team was multi-sport athletes.
Right.
He talked about the Druin boy,
Right.
who scored a hat trick against me in hockey this winter, and Gennaro Mara, who's 3 sports. He's all state
All three.
in 3 sports, and that he felt the success of his lacrosse team was multi-sport athletes. And I think here at Exeter we have a lot of 2-sport athletes, and it would be wonderful to see 3-sport athletes, and there are some. But it become harder because you get that pull of, you know, the outside team wants you in the fall. You know, you may be a basketball player, you may be a hockey player, and they want you to play in the fall, but you're playing football or soccer, and so it's really a hard pull. But there are a lot of multi-sport athletes here, and one of the things that's fun for me, class day the other day, Mike Monahan added a class day award in my name, and it's going to go to a multi-sport athlete, and that, you know, that's what I believed in, and I think that's what Billy believed. I think that's what the culture of, as you point out, Exeter is we like to see kids be multi-sport athletes, and you learn lessons. Maybe you learn to sit on the bench. Maybe you learn how to get in the lineup. Maybe you learn how to fight through an injury, and it pays off in the next season. And you learn to be a role player, and you learn so. You know, you opened with that I've been an educator here for 36 years and coached here for 42. I would argue I've been an educator for all 42 of them because
All right, yeah,
that's my classroom right there, man.
Point well taken.
And I used to, Shara Putnam was our calc teacher for years and years and years, and she and I had this conversation in the 80s, and I said, Shara, there are lessons they're going to learn in your room, and there are lessons they're going to learn in my room. And some of the lessons they learn in mine, they can't learn in yours. And I think it's our responsibility. I think it's our responsibility to teach those lessons. And I've said for years, SAU did not pay me to win games. That we won some games and we won some titles, but they weren't paying me to win titles. They were paying me to teach. And
We're talking about soccer and ice hockey and your success as a coach over the number of years, but we really need to talk a little bit about your involvement with Special Olympics, which has been really important. I'm sure you're just coming off another successful weekend over at UNH. How many years has it been for you now?
So I think that I have been responsible for our group about 32. Marion Chouinard kind of carried the ball in the 80s, and I kind of took it over, and it is, I think it's one of the best experiences a student has here at Exeter High School. I took 2 busloads of peer coaches
Okay.
to UNH on Friday morning, and they were there Friday all day and did a great job. And Saturday morning, I showed up at the track at 8 o'clock, and there were 2 seniors there who just got off the boat.
Yep.
And they met their athlete to run in their event because they wanted to be there. And a couple of them tag teamed it. You know, one was there from 8 to 11, and then one woke up at 11 and got there. But the kids did that on their own because they wanted to be there for their athletes. And they learn accountability. They learn, it's just such a meaningful experience to see what other athletes do, to have success and to be a part of it. And the Special Olympics is a win-win. It's a win-win, and it's one of the best things we do here.
It's just another part of the superior Exeter athletic program that's here, that athletics are for all students. And there's something for everybody at Exeter High. And I think that's been the philosophy that I've learned being in the Exeter school system for 30 years, is that Exeter makes sure there's a place and for every student to succeed somewhere. And I think that's really important.
It is, and I again talked about it at commencement the other day, that the breadth of exemplary programs in this building is unparalleled in our state, anywhere. Just that program and Joel Owaskowitz in the theater programs and the music programs with Timmy Miles, and I'll leave somebody out, and I shouldn't do it, but you're absolutely the SST.
Right.
I mean, what a great. I went to the doctor the other day, and I sat down with this young lady, and she was taking the information. I said, I reckon, and I graduated last year,
Right.
and she was sitting there. She's in the field,
Sure.
and she's in the field because of the SST programs and the quality of this is a great SAU and a great program, K through 12, and the Special Olympics is near and dear to my heart, and they just celebrated the 50th this weekend, and the origin, the first,
Yes.
June 1970,
Right.
crosstown at Phillips Exeter Academy, and the directors were Cass Donovan, the track coach at Exeter High School, and Gene Tufts and Ted Seabrook, and
Wow.
and that's where it started.
Sure.
And they just celebrated the 50th, and to still be part of that and to be a major part of that it's
great.
cool.
Two things I wanted to bring up here, and it's an article that was done when they dedicated the bench to you in the Exeter newsletter. Alexander Lacasse got a couple of comments, and I wanted to put them on video here today with you. One was from one of your players, Jake Martin Jr., and the quote was, "He taught us to care about other people in the community, always to do the right thing when no one's watching and represent the school and ourselves in a way that commands respect." And he goes on to say he puts everyone else well ahead of his own. It's awesome to play for a guy like that. Now that's Jake Martin Jr. But now I got one also from the big guy here, Bill Ball, the athletic director. And he called you a great listener. And he says that's a tough quality. Thoughtful in your responses to kids and able to have an honest one-to-one conversation with young people. And it's special.
That's what you hope. That's what you hope for. Again, this year has been fun, and I've heard from so many alums, and we had this last hockey game, and there were 60 plus alums there, and it's meaningful as I get close to the end to realize that they recognized what we were trying to teach. There are a lot of days you go home and you want to pull out your hair and why don't they get it? And there are lots of challenging and frustrating moments. But as this has been a special year for me, and again, the kids and Billy and Mike and my assistants have made it a special year. For me to be able to recognize that what we were trying to do and what the lessons we were trying to get across were.
I think mission accomplished.
Yeah.
Mission accomplished.
It's Les and I have talked about it a lot, and I feel good about what we did.
Leslie, got plans for you now that you're retired?
Yeah, I'm working hard at home. We'll find out
To-do list.
We'll find out if we like each other, because I'm going to be home a little more than I have been, and to speak to her, I couldn't have done what I've been able to do. I mean, the boosters meetings and the nights scouting and the nights putting out fires and this, that, and the other thing. And she has been as much a part of my success as I have. She raised two great kids, with me being around a little bit. Time for us to have some fun and enjoy some things together.
Last question for me, Jim, is your successors in hockey and in soccer. If you were going to give them some advice, and I know you probably won't, but if you were going to give them some advice, what would it be?
Be patient.
Okay.
Be patient. I think Billy has a great saying that he talks about being a good listener, and he's been a good teacher to me in that. And you always have to think about what you're going to say, and you need to think about process and think about where where is that young man or young woman in his life, and what are the other factors that are going on? And it's not just what happened and reacting to what happened, play, incident, a call, a mistake, a success. There's a lot of factors that go into it, and one of the things that I think I credit my mom most of all for being one of my best teachers is I learned a lot of patience from her and thinking about what went into a situation before you do, and you got to be patient. You got to recognize that some of the lessons you're trying to teach aren't going to be learned for a while. That they're going to, I used to say to Les, after we diffuse a situation, I used to say, when he becomes a dad or he becomes 22 or 23, he's going to figure out what we were talking about. Yes. And it's kind of cool. Paul DiMarino's going to take over the hockey job, and he's been with me. He did his internship with me, and he's been with me for 3 years. And I think he's ready, and I think he'll do a good job in hockey. And Danny Curran, who played for me, he was great captain, a great coach, and he and I spent a couple hours together yesterday, kind of talking about things and not people or situations, but gear and schedules and stuff like that, and they're both going to do a great job. And
that's great.
They're both going to do a great job. And for me, I can walk away and say those are guys that I think have the same standards and qualities that I've had, and that Billy will enjoy working with, and will carry on the tradition of Exeter High.
Great.
And you won't be far away. You'll be watching.
I won't. Paul Demo in particular has promised that I got to be by and answer my phone.
We'll be doing one of these at the rinks, I'm sure. Coach?
Jim, one person we've mentioned just in passing, and we should, in a lot of schools, coaches are judged by wins and losses, and you already touched on that point that we're not here. It really helps, I think, to have such a supportive person in Coach Ball as the athletic director.
And I talked about this somewhere at some point this year. If you look back, so 42 years, and I've really been fortunate. I worked for Cass Donovan and Billy Ball.
Yeah, right.
2 NHI Hall of Famers. I couldn't be more fortunate. I learned things from Cass. One of the things I learned from Cass was how important it was that every kid understood their role. The kid at the end of the bench needed to understand how they were important to it, and it would help them, and it would help the whole package, and it was a lesson that I just never forgot. And the same with Billy. I mean, I would often go into the hockey locker room and say, fellas, Coach Ball and I spent time talking today, and he may not be the best hockey guy, but he understands teams and he understands people. And here's some of the issues that we talked about. And I looked at both of those people as mentors and resources and friends. And then, push it to the next level. We worked for Walt Brokowski, and we worked for just some great principles. And I think Mike falls right into that here now, that you knew in the down years, and you knew in the up years, that the standards were the same and the expectations were the same, and that they set the bar of what you needed to meet, and you needed to meet them as far as teaching, but they had your back. And there were plenty of times where they needed to, because there were lots of slings and arrows headed in your direction.
As a former head coach, you can't please everybody, and as Rick Nelson says, you got to please yourself. And
I knew you were going to use one
yeah,
of those.
and you know what? That's so true, so true. But my last question to you, and it's not really a question. I just wanted to let you know how thankful I was that my son Jeff got to play varsity ice hockey for you, and he had a wonderful experience the entire time he was there.
Thanks, and that's, and I appreciate that, Bill, very much, and that means a lot. And one of the things that's really been fun about this year is getting a card from grandparents, getting a card from parents, getting an email from the Dunleavy family the other day, and the Brownell, Mr. and Mrs. Brownell. So I had their daughters, and I got their grandchildren, and a card like that means so much that I often said at every parents meeting that I wanted to be on the same page, that we were in this together with parents and kids, and that hopefully that what I was trying to do was what they were trying to do. And I think as this year has gone on, to have kind words like that and to get a card, an email, a message, it's been meaningful to me, and
You've left a 36-year legacy here at Exeter, 42 overall, and every kid that you've instructed over the years, you've left a piece of you with that child, and that's something to be proud of. And as I said earlier, document as much of that as you can. Yeah. The old cliche is one door opens, another one opens. One door closes, one other one opens. So. Oh, I tried that one. Let's try that again. Take 2 on that place. Yeah, it's a beautiful day. But anyway, as the door closes, another one opens. One thing I will tell you for a fact: the door is always open for you to join us on the Sports Forum, because we really want your knowledge and memories that we can put on a semi-weekly basis, or when we get the program up and running.
I'd love to do that. It's it's sort of a dream. It's one of the fun stories. So we got to the end of the hockey. So I'd be honored to join the group, and as often and in any situation you want, it'd be great.
Get Leslie's permission first.
I will. Maddie might tag along.
Go for it.
The end of the hockey banquet, which this year was great, and so right at the end of it, one of the boys, Cole Robinson, had put it together. So I popped a little video, and it was Bruce Cassidy.
Oh, cool.
And then
Great.
Patrice Bergeron.
Wow.
And then, last but not least, Jackie Edwards. Yeah. And it was really fun because Jackie and Edwards and I played together.
Sure.
So he played soccer at UNH just after I did, and he used to join us in the summer league and play for the Exeter Arsenal, and we played together for several summers. And so he sent a really nice message, and it was fun, and it was great. And so I had the boys record one back and said, "Hey, Jackie, anytime I'm looking for work, and you and Brick need some help, I'm available."
There you go.
So that was cool. So
Hey, we got the coach does the football games for Exeter High School. Maybe we'll try to get something going so you can do some hockey games over at the rinks.
And I think that crew's going to be pretty good. So let's hope there's some really big games coming in their future. I think they're going to be good guys.
Coach, this has been a great day.
Sure, this was fun.
And I really appreciate you coming on board with us today. And like I said, the door is always open for you to join us in our studio setup.
Well, you know where to find me. You got all my numbers now.
I have your numbers. And he still has a landline. The man still has a landline. I love that. I'm one of the few that, along with him, has it. That must mean we're old, like dinosaurs. All right. Thank you, gentlemen. And thank you for the Seacoast Sports Forum. This is Sherm Chester, Bill Taylor, Sam Bruno, and the coach. That was quite a day.
Yes, it was.
Coach Tufts is a very interesting gentleman.
The resume is unbelievable. You think about his 40 years in coaching and the amount of young men and women that he's worked with over at Exeter High School. And as he always said, it was never about winning. It was always about teaching.
Teaching, right.
And Bill, you and I are former educators, and we certainly know where he's coming from on that. And I've never been a head coach. You have, so you know a little bit more about the interaction between the players and a coach.
I think all good coaches have to be good teachers. I strongly believe that. All good coaches have to be good teachers. And that's why it's so important for the athletes to have coaches that can instruct. And, the gym, the field, it's just an extension of the classroom.
And I think the success that Coach Tufts has had, and we'll also see it in Coach Morissette coming up with the softball team, is the ability to adjust to the different
Yes.
youth changes.
Correct.
Okay? When you were coaching the championship Exeter High School basketball team back in the late 70s, the student athletes were a lot different than they are now.
Correct.
And to be successful nowadays, you have to adjust, just like a hitter in baseball or a running back in football.
Right. That's a very good point. And for Jim to continue to do that for 40 years is really something special.
What I thought was cool, at the end of last month, they dedicated a bench, a granite bench to Coach Tufts, and it's from both the soccer and hockey boosters. And if you want to check it out, and we got video of it, it's located on the Blue Hawk Walk of Fame at Bill Ball Stadium. It really was cool. That's a nice tribute to the man. So we went from a successful fall-winter season, and then the spring season continues the championship mode. And the first time in how many years, ever, that the girls softball
That was
team.
the first state championship
Wow.
for the Exeter girls softball team.
Wow.
Yes,
Well,
ever.
we were able to get an interview. The coach interviewed Coach Kristen Morissette on the success of the girls team this year. Let's roll that interview.
This is Bill Taylor from the Seacoast Sports Forum, and I'm here with the only coach in Exeter High's history to win the Division I softball tournament.
Yes.
Kristen Morissette, congratulations, Kristen.
Thank you very much. Long time coming.
Now, you've been coaching softball 24 years?
24, yep, 24.
And you took over for,
Fran Adaricio.
you know, I was telling the gentleman on the way out, I won't mention the person's name, but when I arrived in Exeter, the person who was coaching softball, I think, has a first in Exeter High history because she made the tournament and declined to go. They were going to Berlin, and she said no.
I don't blame her. That's a long ride. I had to go there in high school up to Berlin to play in a field hockey game, and that was just the longest ride ever.
Well, tell us, I know from reading the Portsmouth Herald, from Ryan O'Leary's column and others, and I'm looking forward to Friday's newspaper and the newsletter. But tell us, sounds to me like Sam Weiberg, she's a real deal.
She definitely is. Sam, she's a competitor. She definitely worked hard. She was a player when she came in as a freshman. She started every game in her career. But this year, her junior year, just tremendous growth, both in the pitching circle and in the batter's box. She was by far, I think the best player in Division I, just with her pitching dominance and her hitting. To hold in the semifinals and finals, we played Concord and Winnicott, two very good hitting teams. She held them to no runs, and a runner did not get past second base. So that alone, one, it's a testament to her, but also the defense, because our defense made the plays behind her, the outfield, the infield, came up with some big plays, and that's what we talked about all season was, not giving them, taking away a base hit that might go for a base hit on another day, but taking away a base hit, making a good play, keeping them off the bases. It started with Sam in the circle, and then the defense, but again, she does it with her bat as well.
I was going to say, she was your leadoff hitter, and she also won Pitcher of the Year.
Correct.
Am I correct?
Correct, yeah. So that's why, in my eyes, she was the player of the year, just because of her bat as well. And again, we put her in the leadoff spot because she is such a good hitter, and we want to get her up as much as possible. But it's a testament to the lineup because she led our team in the leadoff spot with RBIs. So it shows that our 6, 7, 8, 9 batters are getting on base, so that when she gets up there are people in scoring position and she's able to bring them around. So that's
One thing I noticed in reading about your team over the year, 1 through 9, you were pretty potent. The number 9, number 7, 8, 9 batters were not guaranteed outs.
They weren't, and we're not usually known for power, but we had, I think it was like 21 home runs, and someone had posted that I think 7 of our 9 batters had home runs this year, and in the tournament, in our quarterfinal, our number 9 batter hit a grand slam, so she had some pop in our bats, and our 7 and 8 batters were like, oh, we kind of feel left out, but those were the girls they were our speedsters, and they know they're our speedsters. They would leg out, a single for someone else was a double for them, and they would steal bases. So yeah, 1 through 9, and then we had people coming off the bench too, that could get base hits as well. So 1 through 16, we were pretty tough.
What did you foresee your team all coming together like this? I know as coaches we always think positively, and we believe, but did you foresee running off? How many wins in a row did you run off?
I think it was 18. I think we had 18 in a row at the end. I don't think we had. I mean, it might have been like our third or fourth game that we lost against Londonderry. And that was a tough game. It was cold, rainy, and Sam didn't have. And we left a lot of people on base, but we did lose that one. I don't know. We had a lot coming back, so I thought there was a chance, but I tried to stay, a little bit grounded and say, just not to get too excited about it. But in the back of my head, I was like, we're good. We really are good. But I didn't want to play that up to the girls. It was always like, stay humble. No one thinks we're that good, but we all, us out on the field, and I think probably our parents and our families, they knew what we could do. And luckily it all came together. We played our best softball at the end. The girls loved being together, whether it was practice, games, they hung out together off the field. And I think that definitely made a difference this year.
I noticed the Concord coach, after you defeated them in the semifinals, said, folks, these guys are the real deal.
Yes, and coming from him, he's been around a long time, Coach Sawyer. So that meant a lot. And even the other, I heard from other coaches around the league, go get it. Good luck. This is your year. Go do it. And this team deserved it, just the way that they played all season long. And I couldn't have been more happy for them.
Now, Winnicott, from everything I read going into the season, they probably were the preseason favorites. They had a proven pitcher, Harkowicz. They were good hitters. They had a lot of returnees. And by the way, did you know that Coach Bruce is an Exeter High alum?
I didn't, or I think I had heard that before, but then Coach Quinn was mentioning it, I think he had played for Coach Ball, possibly?
He played basketball for me,
Okay.
and he played football for Coach Ball and Coach Eustace, yes. Now, how did Sam, I know you had great defense, and she obviously didn't walk many people.
No.
To hold them down to no runs in the final, that's quite a tribute.
It definitely is, because they, again, 1 through 9, very good hitters. And coming into the season, I think they were the team to beat, because they had such a potent lineup last year. And I'll tell you, I don't really want to put this on camera, but last year we lost to them twice, and one of the scores was a lot to a little. I don't even want to say what it was. And so for us to come in, we played them during the season over at Winnicott and went 10 innings. I think it was 4-3 or 5-4, one or the other. So I think that game right there was a huge confidence boost for our team, just because we knew Winnicott was the team to beat coming in this year. And then to face them in the championship, what better team to face than your rival, 10 minutes down the road. And Sam played for Coach Bruce. I don't know if she played one summer or 2 summers. Played with some of those girls on a summer team, as well as a couple of the other girls I think on my team had played for Coach Bruce, and played with, they grew up playing against each other, Hampton Youth, Exeter Youth, playing against each other. So it was a big game, and Sam really, it was her best game of the year. Those girls knew what she would throw, what she wanted to do, but she kind of mixed it up. So, and they were swinging at good pitches that she was throwing. She put it right where she wanted, and it wasn't in there. It wasn't really where they had wanted it, but they had to swing for it because it was strike. So she mixed up her pitches. She changed speeds quite a bit. And to hold them 2 infield hits. They had a bunt single and a hit in the hole between short and third, but 2 infield singles against a team that has power. So, the defense and Sam on the mound was just incredible.
How many seniors did you have?
We have 4 seniors. Sid Johnson, Alyssa Condrat, Maddie Babine, Lindsay Gleason. Sid Johnson was our probably only everyday starter at first base. The others saw time in the outfield, as well as DH and then hitting. But they, and they all bought in. They knew their role, knew their job, came to practice, and it was great that all 4 of them got into that championship game. And they were just leaders and good teammates. So.
In talking to Coach Tufts earlier, one thing that he said, and having coached myself, one thing that I remember from my championship team was the fact that kids bought into their roles. They knew that they were going to play, and they knew that they were valuable, but they knew when they were going to play.
Mm-hmm. That's definitely it. I mean, this team, they knew, and they came to practice, and they had fun. They did their job. It wasn't a chore for them to be out there, which made all the difference in the world. And then when game time came, they knew, I'm going to get, I might be DHing here. I might be, pinch hitting here, pinch running there. This is what I have to do. I have to play defense. I might not be the best offensive player, but I have to make the plays on defense because that's where they need me. And that's what they knew their job, and they knew what to do, and they cheered on the other players that might have been in the field ahead of them, and they pushed them in practice. So, yeah, it was just a great team season, team victory, and we got the first championship in school history. So that's
Here it is, people, for you all to see it. That's what they were shooting for. And when do they put the banner up in the gym?
I don't know. I know I've seen the banner. Now we just have to add the 2019 year to it, and this team will forever be be up on the wall of the gym. So couldn't be more happy and proud of them.
Well, I believe also, and before I go, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that you were Division I Coach of the Year also.
I was, yes. but you know what? It made it easy because the girls were easy to coach, and they made my job much easier.
Well, thank you, Coach Morissette, for taking the time to talk to us here at the Seacoast Sports Forum.
So your impressions of what happened this year with the girls' team? That was a great interview, by the way.
Well, again, there's someone who she's been coaching for 24 years. So there's someone who has, again, as Sam mentioned earlier, seen the evolution of student athletes. And, she was a former star athlete herself.
Where did she play?
She was Somersworth and then went and played at Plymouth.
Okay.
And, she was able to get the girls to buy into her concept, and that's so important. But the fact that they all cared about each other and egos were not involved makes all the difference in the world.
Well, we completed the day at Exeter High School with the third interview, and 43 years it took the boys track team to take the state championship, and it was quite a feat. And the girls did the same, by the way, or UNH. It was a big event for both. And congratulations to the girls coach, and we would love to have her on here at some point in time. But just happened to have Nate LeVay available to us that day at the high school. So we'll roll that interview and check out our interview with Coach LeVay. The Seacoast Sports Forum, and we're back with head coach Nate LeVay of the Exeter boys track team, the Blue Hawk track team championship team. First time in 43 years.
Yeah, it was just an incredible night. The boys really had their best meet of the whole season at the right time, and they were able to score 117 points and take down Pinkerton.
Wow. And then they got the front page of the sports page of the Exeter newsletter showing all the teams, because the girls also were champions at the meet.
Yeah, it was
a pretty big day.
Not quite as surprising on the girls' side as they had won the year before, but we graduated a lot of points on the girls' side from the previous year. So some of the younger athletes that maybe hadn't been there before really stepped up and scored some big points for us.
So what was the secret to success this year for the boys?
Team depth. senior leadership, and obviously you gotta have a bunch of talented athletes, which we had, and they collectively as a senior group kind of set a goal that they wanted to win the state meet, and they believed they could win it, and that was really a big part of it. They bought into all the training, and they really were focused on that meet from day one of the season.
You had, I've just saw the Portsmouth Herald, and they have nominated 4 people for track and field athlete of the year, and from Exeter. And I know you had 4 outstanding people who won their events, right?
Yeah.
Jake Winslow is one.
So Jake Winslow, he completed the Triple Crown and of what we call distance running, which is, arguably, I think there's only been maybe 2 or 3 kids in the history of the state that have been able to go to the divisional meet and win the half mile, the mile, and the 2 mile. And he was ready for that 4x4 if we needed him too. But we kind of had it at least wrapped up at that point, so we didn't need to use him in that relay. But winning those 3 events was incredible. Jack McSweeney was another one. He's actually a first-year spring track kid. He's run winter track for me for a couple years now, and this winter, ironically, as part of a relay with Jake, he said, I'll come out for spring track if we All-American in the meet, thinking there's no way we're going to do it. And they did. They actually All-American this winter, so Jack agreed to come out, and Jack won the 100-meter dash in his first season of spring track, which is incredible.
And there was a
high jumper. Jake Langevin won the high jump. He's been there pretty much the last 3 years. I think he's the best high jumper in the state, and he kind of, high jump's one of those wild events where you really never know. Someone could be on a given day and beat you, and he was on that day, and he got the job done and won the high jump.
Was there a Rigodonna?
Dante Radagonda, actually.
There you go.
So he's
close.
Yeah, that's a tough one. So he's only a junior, actually, so he'll be returning next year, but he was part of that All-American relay indoors, and he finished runner-up in the 400, but he's getting plenty of college interest already, and he's definitely a top-notch runner.
Pinkerton annually is the team to beat, if I'm correct in that. In the meet of champion, the state meet.
Yep.
I mean, they just have a lot of athletes on their team.
Yep.
They score a lot of points. They're a large school. We're getting to become a larger school.
Yep.
And for you to take them down, that's something.
Yeah, we are a big school. I think we're the 4th biggest. They're twice as big as us.
Right.
And they're very well coached. They have a lot of really good athletes, like you said. And they were, on paper, they might have been the favorites going into Division I's, but that's just on paper. And our kids really stepped it up. They really had a great meet, and sometimes that's the way it rolls.
And I was going to say, oftentimes it's the surprising people who score that maybe are unexpected. Yeah, you have your people who win an event or finish runner-up, but it might be some of those other people who get the 5ths and the 6ths, or
you're definitely right. I mean, I don't want to say you expect the people that are supposed to win their event to win the event, but you kind of expect that. We had numerous kids just placing in events all over that weren't supposed to place, theoretically, on paper. And that's kind of how you win championships, especially on the girls' side. I think we only won 3 events on the girls' side. Our long jumper won, our discus girl won, and our 4x1. But we just tons of 4th place, 3rd place finishes, and that's what it takes to win a championship. You try to place in every event.
Now, did you foresee this coming? I just asked Kristen this question. Did you foresee that
a sweep or just the boys winning, or
both?
So on paper, I had our girls winning. I had it a lot closer than it ended up being, and I didn't tell them that. The boys, I didn't think we could catch Pinkerton. I just didn't think we could catch them. They had a couple things not go right, and we had a lot of things really go right. And they performed out of their minds. I mean, they broke 7 school records at the Division I meet.
Wow, that's something.
What about next year, next season? I know we got to savor this one, but
Yeah. So next season on the boys' side, we bring back some talented athletes. We certainly don't bring back the depth that we had this year. So we'll have a little bit of a rebuilding year. But there's plenty of talent walking around the hallways that I'll try to recruit out. So on the girls' side, we only graduate 3 seniors that participated at the state meet. So the girls should be right in the thick of things again.
Well, as the headline said, throw that up again. Shoot the camera. There's both the boys and girls team in front of the state championship banner from the NHIAA, and I think that whoever came up with the banner, how sweet it is.
Yeah.
Well worth it for both the boys and the girls.
Yeah.
But especially, let's not wait 43 years again,
No,
okay, Coach?
I would prefer not to wait 43 years.
All right,
Yeah.
fair enough. With the Seacoast Sports Forum, Bill Taylor, Sherm Chester, and Coach Nate LeVay, back to the studio. Well, the Seacoast Sports Forum, and today is a show of champions. We started out with Coach Jim Tufts and followed up with Coach Kristen Morissette and Nate LeVay, and kudos to the girls coach too.
Laura Smith.
Yeah, Laura Smith, and we, like I said, we'll try to get Laura on the show. We'd like to get everybody. The day we were there, she wasn't available, so we apologize for not getting her on, but congratulations to the girls as well on that. Let's see, I've got my list. We got anything on the agenda for, you and I are going to be a busy couple of guys. We're going to be in UNH.
Saturday night,
We're
you
doing-
and I are going to be at Wildcat Stadium,
Wildcat Stadium.
for the annual Chad High School All-Star Game. Chad being Children's Hospital at Dartmouth, and their goal is to raise $300,000 from this event, and they're over $275,000 already. So they are going to hit this on Saturday night at Wildcat Stadium, and there will be some Blue Hawks there.
Yeah, but let's run down a list of the kids that will be there representing the Blue Hawks. It's going to be Adam Gray, Zach Tucker, and Ryan Whitney, and other Seacoast kids on the team. Dover High School's Willem Federico, Luke Normando, and Aaron Oro. Let's see who else is going to be there. From Sanborn, it's going to be Owen Snively. We've got from St. Thomas, Evan Briggs, Sean DeCorn, Edwin Estevez. From Timberlane, Dan Hayes. And from Winnicott High School, Luke Granger, Tyler Horde, Joe McDougall, Devin Miller, and James Fennessy. And one more, Eli Witham. Don't want to leave him out. You did have some figures of how our Blue Hawk guys did.
Right,
on
Adam
charity
Gray
race.
is the 4th highest fundraiser for the Chad game.
Wow.
He's raised over $3,700.
Wow.
So again, these players just don't go to practice and play
Right.
in the football game. They are committed
Right.
to raising money that go toward the children at the hospital, as well as the families who have to go through the treatment with the children at the hospital. So just an outstanding charity, and something that you and I, Sherm, are very happy to
Yeah,
be involved
I'm
with on
very-
Saturday night, 6 o'clock at UNH.
Yeah, and that'll be a big event. We'll have a recap on it in our next edition of the Seacoast Sports Forum. Matter of fact, a gentleman would also be with us in future episodes, Roger Brown, who is part of the New Hampshire Football Report and also the Manchester Union Leader. He is at the practices, so that's why he's not here with us today, but he did pass along a couple of things. And before I go, I wanted to put this in after the track piece we did. I got to get it off my phone here. Roger passed along to us, and thank you, Roger, that Exeter High School student athlete named Gatorade New Hampshire Boys Track and Field Player of the Year, and that honor goes to Jake Winslow of the Blue Hawks. And he is the 2018-19 Gatorade New Hampshire Boys Track and Field Athlete of the Year. And just a couple of things that they've got on this press release from Gatorade, it recognizing the outstanding athletic excellence, but also the high standards of academic achievement and exemplary character demonstrated on and off track. And let's see, he joins a real elite crowd that have had this over the years, very few. Lolo Jones, Allison Felix, Robert Griffin III, RG3, Grant Fisher, and also Candace Hill. Just a few people have been able to accomplish that feat.
And that's the first time in the history that an Exeter athlete has been named the boys track and field Gatorade Track and Field Athlete of the Year.
And congratulations to that young
Oh,
man,
yeah.
because
Oh, yeah.
he's going to Dartmouth,
Dartmouth, yep.
next
Correct.
year.
Yeah, they have here in the press release, he had a 3.64 GPA in the classroom and will be going to Dartmouth this fall. And he'll be, of course, competing in cross country and track and field. So
Right.
congratulations to Jake, and again to the team, Coach LeVay, Krista Morissette, Coach Tufts. Thank you for the great interview you did with us at the high school on what was the last day of school. His one of his last days there. Bittersweet for him, I know. That was a bittersweet day for sure. One thing I found out doing those interviews, you have the mic technique, trying to keep that EXTV logo so that right under the chin of whoever you're interviewing, and also you need to get a manicure. At least I did. I went, wow, man. So not a pedicure.
And next time we do
a
an
manicure.
interview in the grandstand, don't
Yes.
let us do it looking into the
Hats.
sun.
Please, hats. Wear a hat, yeah.
We are professionals. We take
Yeah,
this seriously.
Yeah, we should have sunscreen on that day too. A couple of things we did at the other show on radio, and I'd like to do it here. We're going to have some trivia and things in the future, and we want to get, so you get involved with us on the program. But we did the thing called the 2-minute drill, and it's basically anything that comes to mind, you want to throw out on the table. Anything with you, Coach?
One thing I found interesting, and they're both fantastic football games, postseason football games, is the Chad game has kind of taken over prominence in New Hampshire football from the Shrine game. And I find it to be interesting. They're both wonderful causes. They're both a tribute to hard work for those athletes. But I find it interesting. I know my son was involved in girls ice hockey. The only postseason event deals with the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and that takes place up in Burlington, Vermont.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, that is coming up in the end of this month.
2-minute drill, Sam.
Yeah, I had a chance to go and work at the lacrosse championships at William Ball Stadium last week, and very impressed by all the teams. I had a chance to talk to all the coaches, and when you're number one, like 1 and 2 high seeds playing in championship games, they were all very relaxed. Not a lot of real hype and stuff like that. But their teams played so hard, and it was great games, and they all came down to the wire. It was a wonderful time, and just when you think that people aren't going out to high school events, Ball Stadium was packed
That's
the
great.
whole day.
Well, it should be.
And it was exciting, and students were there, and they had signs and noisemakers, and the place was really great. So congratulations to the 6 teams that played in the lacrosse championships, Pinkerton and
Bishop Girton.
Bishop Girton in the 1, Derryfield and not Portsmouth, but Winnicott in the Division 2, and congratulations to the Hopkinton Hawks who won the Division 3 championship. So it was a lot of fun, and I look forward to that again next June at Ball Stadium. And again, congratulations to Bill Ball and Kevin McQueen and Dave Shannon who run those events. I know they make sure that everything runs smoothly on those days.
And they do a good job.
Right.
Excellent job. Excellent job. And I guess my 2-minute drill, just yesterday I was helping take care of my grandkids, and was over in...
Got any pictures on your phone, Sherm? Oh, sorry.
No. Stone Park has a nice little playground for the kids, and it's right next to a ball field. And what was really cool, besides being there with my grandkids, was seeing a group of preteens playing a pickup game of baseball.
Wow. That is odd.
It just gave me a good feeling that not all sports have to be organized events. This was just a group of maybe 8 guys, 4 and 4, playing. It was a wiffle ball type game, but these were kids were into it. They were having some fun and getting the fresh air and some exercise and just again having fun. It made me feel good. And to see a ball field used again,
Right.
not for an organized event, just to have fun. We want to make sure you know that we need your help to keep the program flowing for visual content. So again, if you have any video of an event or your son or daughter or team,
Especially in the summer.
yeah, right, especially in the summertime, you can send it in care of, again, Seacoast Sports Forum extv@gmail.com. That's one way. We do have a Facebook page, the Seacoast Sports Forum, there on Facebook, and I just set up a Twitter account for us, so that should be interesting. You know, Roger Brown said to me, he says, "You got to get a Twitter account." I said, "Okay," and it makes sense because that's the way everybody contacts everybody now. Seems like even some of the people up above in the hierarchy of our government. I don't know, we'll get into that some other day. But right now, I just want to get input from you so we can keep the show going. And again, trivia, we'll be doing some of that in the future. We got another feature we'd like to bring up. We got some great old videos, old films of Exeter teams from days gone by.
Yeah.
And we like to identify some of the people that are on those
Do
films.
you know this player?
Yeah, well, we'll call it like a who's who. So we'll be working that into a future program. But thank you again for our champion show. Thanks to Nate LeVay, and again, congratulations to the boys and girls teams in track and field. Kristen and the softball team, they did great. And thank you again to Jim Tufts. And we will be having Coach Tufts. You heard during the interview, he loves to talk sports. So we'll be having him join us here on future editions of the Seacoast Sports Forum. Are we all set to adjourn?
We are.
We are.
Until next time, Sherm Chester, Sam Bruno, Bill Taylor, wishing you the best.